G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English, or this free component of the Effortless Phrasal Verb course brought to you by Aussie English. So today we're going to be talking about phrasal verbs that we can make with the particle to, okay? The particle to. So before that, we might wait for a few minutes, see you guys show up. I'll wait to see what you guys think of the sound, so make sure that you give me a thumbs up if the sound's okay, and I might give this a cheeky share as well. But how are you guys going, and where are you watching from today as well? Are you guys enjoying the heat? Is it hot where you guys are? Because it's hot here. I actually had to put a singlet on. I had a singlet, I was wearing this, but I thought it's not appropriate attire for a live video, so I switched into my theaussieenglishpodcast.com t-shirt to cover up a bit. How are you, Marina? How are you, Aline? I hope you guys are going well. Whereabouts are you listening from today, guys? And is it hot there? Aline's in Canberra. How are you, Aline? Whoop. Make sure I mute my screen here. As well, if you guys can, so give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound okay, just so that I know, because sometimes it's not. And if you can, please feel free to share the video just so that it gets a bit more interest on Facebook. So I always appreciate that, guys. We'll just wait a few more minutes. Renaud and Marie, salut mes amis. How are you guys going? I hope you're well. Aline says it's pretty hot in Canberra as well. And Marina says she's on the Gold Coast and it's been hot yet breezy. Nice. Nice. So were you guys at the beach today? Were you hanging out down the beach, enjoying the heat somewhere nice where you can cool off? Or were you just at home inside trying to escape the heat with the air conditioners? Alrighty then. So I'll wait 2 more minutes for a few of you guys to show up, and then we can get started. I guess a few announcements first, guys. We're closing up. We're getting to the end of the Effortless Phrasal Verb course live videos. We're at about 16 videos now, I think. 16, maybe even 17. But we're getting to almost 20 videos for the Effortless Phrasal Verb course, guys. Make sure you sign up to that if you're battling with phrasal verbs, if you're finding phrasal verbs difficult to conquer, to get a handle of, like a native speaker. I try and treat this course as a way of explaining how to use phrasal verbs cognitively, so how we're thinking about it, the cognitive linguistics side of phrasal verbs, how we think of particles like going out versus in, up versus down, and what happens when we pair those with different verbs. Okay, so that's the basic idea behind the Effortless Phrasal Verb course. The whole idea is to teach you to use phrasal verbs when you speak without having to memorize, without having to learn by rote, by heart, all of these huge lists of phrasal verbs. That's what I want you guys to avoid doing, because there's thousands of phrasal verbs, but I want you guys to just have to learn the pattern and then be able to reproduce it naturally and effortlessly without having to think about it. So that's it. We'll give it 30 more seconds, and sorry about the cough. And then we can get started. So Rocio, I hope you're going well. Thanks for showing up in the class. And I guess let's just get it on, guys. Let's just get it on. Welcome to this component of the Effortless Phrasal Verb course, guys. So today we're going to be talking about the particle to. The particle to. This is a word you'll all know, you'll all use all the time, whether it's as adverbs with other verbs like to do, or maybe you're going to a place. The most common way you're going to use this, though, it's going to be used to express motion in a direction. So you're going to something as opposed to coming from something, right? But yeah, so the particle to is sort of similar to that of, with, and by, in that it has many, many, many different meanings. Most commonly, though, as I said, it's used to express motion in a particular direction, of a particular place. Okay, so you go to the place and you come from a place. So it's often added to the ends of phrasal verbs that already exist, though. So you might go up to a place, or you might come down from a place to another place. So you might often see it at the ends of phrasal verbs that you already know. So I'm going to treat this component like the one of, with, and by, where I'm just going to discuss at the start a few of these sort of patterns with movement, and then I'm just going to get into some of the most common phrasal verbs that use to that you're likely to hear. Okay, so movement. Let's just start by using the verb come. Okay, so to come to a location. So you can come to somewhere. For example, he came to my house. And we're using to there as the opposite of from, right? So he came from his house to my house. He came to my house. You could come over to my house though. So he came over to my house. He came from his house over to my house. He could come down to my house. He came down to my house. He came down from his house that was up here, and he came down to my house. And he could obviously do the opposite, where he came up to my house. He came from down here up to my house. Let's use a different verb. And this time let's imagine that it's raining outside. So imagine that it's pissing down. There's lots of rain. But this time we're going to use the verb to run, okay? So this is like to walk, except it's really fast. To run. So imagine that you are going to work and you're running to work. So you might say she is running to work. She's running from her car to work because it's raining, okay? So work is the place she's going to. She's running to work. She's running from here, from the car, to here, work. She could run away from something to something else. She could run away from her car to work. She could run out of her car to work. So she ran out from her car to work. And she could run in to work from the car. She ran from the car into work. So the basic idea there is just that you can add to on the ends of all these other phrasal verbs in order to show that there's been a change in position, in that you've gone from here to here, okay? Change in position. That's what we're using to from, and it's showing the direction. It's showing that you're going to, I just used it there, to this place. All right, let's just go through some of these phrasal verbs. To be up to something. This is one I use all the time. What are you guys up to? It means to do something. So you could just say, what are you up to today? What are you doing today? It can also mean to decide something. So if something is up to you, it means that you get to decide what we do. Okay, so what we do today, the activity that we do today is up to you. You get to decide. What we do today is up to you. You can get up to something. This is similar to be up to something. To get up to something means to do something. So what did you get up today? What are you up today is like, what are you currently doing? What did you get up to today though would be, what did you do today? What were you up to today? Okay, so just another way of saying to do. And that's one you're going to hear all the time in Australia. What did you get up to? What are you up to? Okay, so get used to using that one. You can look up to someone, and that means to admire someone. So to think highly of someone. So if you have a father who is, I don't know, a really big figure in your life, you know, maybe he's famous or he's really talented, or you just admire him, you look up to your father, okay? You look up to him. And that's why statues, right? Imagine a statue, you know, something standing there, a statue. You always have to look up to statues, and statues tend to be people that you admire, okay? So you're looking up to the people that are on the statues. You can look forward to something. So you can look forward, and that would be like to use your eyes and look in front of yourself, as opposed to, say, looking sideways. You look forward, but if you look forward to something, it's that you anticipate that thing happening and you're excited about it. So you guys might be looking forward to the next component in this course. Or maybe you're looking forward to the weekend. You could also say she's looking forward to going surfing. She really, really enjoys surfing. She's going to go surfing this weekend. That's what she's going to get up to. That's what she's going to be up to. She's looking forward to going surfing. You can make something up to someone. To make something up to someone. This is one of those tricky ones where the words in the phrase don't actually mean or don't actually have anything to do with the meaning of the phrase itself. To make something up to someone else. So this is to do something as a favor to someone in order to repay that person for a transgression. So something you've done wrong. Maybe you said something mean, or maybe you didn't show up to a birthday party. If you make it up to that person, it's that you repay them because of that thing that you did wrong. So I could let someone down by not showing up to their birthday. There's a few phrasal verbs there. I let them down because I didn't show up to their birthday. I didn't go. Maybe I forgot. So I didn't go to their birthday. But then I could say, mate, I'm going to make it up to you. So I will repay you for this thing. And it could be that I take them out surfing on the weekend. So that's how I make it up to them. That's how I effectively say that I'm sorry and I do them the favor of taking them out surfing. You can put someone up to, you can put something to someone. Okay, yeah, sorry. There's a few of these that are similar and it's giving me, it's confusing me. So you can put something to someone, and this is to propose something to someone or to pose a question, to suggest something. So a politician, or a polly, we call them in Australia, a polly could put a question to a group of people. He could put the question to the audience. He could put the question to his friends. It just means that he's asking them. He's putting that question, imagine that he's taken the question from his mouth and he's put it to them. So he's like giving it to them. So I'm posing the question, I'm proposing something, I'm putting that thing to that person, okay? So I could put the question to you guys, what are you up to this weekend? I'm putting the question to you. Here's the one that was confusing me. So to put someone up to something. Another one of those really confusing ones where the individual words don't really give you an idea of what it means. To put someone up to something. If you put someone up to something, this is to encourage someone to do something, usually stupid or wrong. So that thing is stupid, that thing is wrong. So like they're misbehaving or something. And if you've encouraged them to do that, you've put them up to it. You've put them up to that thing. So this will often be used with kids, okay? Imagine that you have a younger brother and you tell him to go and take a cookie out of the cookie jar in the kitchen. So your little brother goes into the kitchen, he puts his hand in the jar, he grabs a handful of cookies, pulls it out, turns around, and your mum's there and says, "What are you doing? You're not allowed any cookies. Who put you up to this? Who encouraged you to do this thing?" And he might say, "My older brother put me up to it." You can see to something or see to someone, and this is to take care of someone or something, or to sort something out, or to sort someone out. So there's a big problem at work, but I'm going to see to it. So that just means I'm going to sort this problem out, I'm going to take care of this problem, I'm going to see to this problem. You can stick to something, you can keep to something, and you can hold to something. These are all effectively synonyms. Stick, keep, and hold. It just means that these two things are together. They might be stuck together, you might be keeping them together, or they might hold together, but it's that idea like this. But if you stick to something, you keep to something, or you hold to something, it's that you effectively do what you say you were going to do, okay? So it's like, I promise to go out surfing this weekend. My sister, she might want to come surfing with me. Maybe I want to change my mind and do something else, but she says, you need to stick to what you said you were going to do. You need to hold to your promise. You need to keep to your word. So it's often used as a collocation with to keep to your promise or to keep to your word. Stick to your promise, stick to your word, hold to your promise, hold to your word. They all mean the same thing. Effectively, do what you said you were going to do, okay? So that's a really good one. Use that. You can take to something. So we know the verb take is to kind of get something that's not close to you and to bring it towards you. Or it could be pick something up and take it to another location, bring that thing closer to another location. But if you take to something, instead of taking something to, say, a place, you take to something. I would say you would use this for to master a skill. That's the first one, to get really good at something. So if you guys take to English, it's that you learn English really quickly. You could say you picked up English very quickly. You picked it up. You took to it. So he took to the piano from a young age. He mastered it. He got really good at it. But it could also be that you began a new habit. So if you just started picking up English this week and you fell in love with it, you decided, I love English, I'm really good at it, I'm going to keep doing it, and everyone else saw that, they might say, geez, this guy or this girl, this bloke, this Sheila, he or she is really taking to English. You can turn to something. I could turn to my right, I could turn to my left, that's the literal meaning, or you could turn to someone. So this is to consult for advice, that's the very first one, and I imagine this comes from, imagine I have a person sitting next to me here and I need their advice, I want their opinion. I would, if I wanted their opinion or I wanted their advice, I would turn to face them. I would turn to that person and then be like, what do you suggest I do? Or can you give me your advice? I have to turn to them. So I turn to my girlfriend for help. That's the example sentence I have here. I need some help with something. I turn to her for help. But it can also mean to turn into something. So imagine you have a house in front of you that's on fire, it's burnt down, and there's only a pile of ashes, you know, the burnt up wood left behind. You could say the burning house turned to a pile of ashes. And I think that's kind of just a short way of saying turn into a pile of ashes. Those tend to be interchangeable. Here's a good one. You can cozy up to someone, you can cuddle up to someone, and you can snuggle up to someone. In this sense, literally, that to get cozy would be like to put a blanket around yourself and get warm. Or it would be to go next to someone, get very close to someone and sort of, you're looking for warmth or you're looking for affection. So if my girlfriend was in the room and I wanted a hug and maybe a kiss on the cheek, or I just wanted to be warm because I was cold, I could cozy up to my girlfriend. I could cuddle up to my girlfriend. I could snuggle up to my girlfriend. They effectively just mean the same thing. Draw close to someone for warmth or for affection. But we can use it figuratively to mean to seek to become intimate with someone or to ingratiate yourself with someone. That's a complex verb. That effectively means to have someone become a fan of yours, to really like you, to do something so that they think highly of you, to ingratiate yourself with that person. So if I had a boss at work and I really wanted him to like me, and to say, give me a raise or, just think highly of me, I could cozy up to my boss. And that's effectively like I'm getting close to him and I'm trying to get him to really like me. So he's really cozying up to his boss at work, okay? It's like he's trying to get close to his boss. You can come onto someone. This is sort of similar, I guess, to that idea of getting close to someone, to come on to someone, getting close to them. This is to hit on someone or to chat someone up. So I've defined a phrasal verb with a bunch of other phrasal verbs, which you should know if you've seen the other episodes. But to hit on someone, to chat someone up, is to meet someone, say in a bar or a pub. You're out drinking, maybe you're a guy, you could be a girl, and you walk up to someone and you like the person. You want to see where it's going to go. Did you want to go out on a date? Can I buy you a drink? If you come on to someone, though, that is the idea of saying things that are kind of obvious that you like the person. So if I had a girl beside me at a bar, I might say, you've got beautiful eyes, your hair's lovely, like, you seem like an amazing person, you smell amazing. Any of those kinds of like flattery or compliments is you coming on to that person. And that's where you'll hear people saying, he's coming on a bit strong. So that's like he's very intense, okay? Or she's very intense, whoever it is, to come onto someone. She came onto him at a party and they hit it off. And to hit it off means to get on really well. They hit it off. You can face up to something. So to face up would literally be this, I'm using my face to look upwards, I'm facing upwards. But if you face up to something, to a thing, facing up to something, that is to accept a difficult situation exists. Okay, so, and sort of to be responsible for it, to take your responsibility. So he faced up to his responsibility and took care of his son. Okay, so that would be face up to, he's accepted his responsibility, he's accepted something that's a difficult situation, he's faced up to that situation. You can live up to something. To live up to something is to fulfill something. And you'll most often hear this, I think, as live up to expectations. So what other people expect of you, or to one's expectations. I lived up to his expectations, or I just lived up to expectations. So imagine that you guys expect this component to be the very best one out of all the components. If it ends up being the best one, I've lived up to expectations. I've lived up to your expectations. So imagine as well, you've got a son, he's going to school, you want him to do really well at school, he graduates, he gets ducks, the highest marks in the class, he certainly lived up to your expectations. You can stand up to someone. I guess the idea there would be that someone's come up to you and you're facing a challenge. It's usually negative, something bad, but if you stand up, that's to do this. I'm standing up, and I'm standing up to another thing, right? The thing that's negative, the thing that I'm facing, I'm standing up to that thing. So you might stand up to bullies at school. Imagine you're going to school and there are some bullies there, some kids who are paying you out, they're teasing you, they're being mean to you. If you stood up to them, it's that you would stand up and defend yourself. You might say, not necessarily figuratively, I mean literally with your fists, but figuratively in that you would stand up to them and say, that's not on, you shouldn't be teasing me, you shouldn't be nasty, it's not okay, I'm standing up and I'm saying that it's not okay, I'm standing up to you, okay? You can drink to something. So obviously you can drink, that's the verb you'll all know, to put liquid in your body, like that. But if we drink to something, it's that we're celebrating something, we're making a toast. So we could be at a wedding and we could say, all right, raise your glasses, let's drink to the two newlyweds. And a newlywed is someone who has just been married. So you're making a toast. Let's drink to these two. Let's drink to someone's health. Let's drink to his fortune. To drink to something, to make a toast. All right. So you can come down to something, or something can come down to something. And this is for a situation or an outcome to be dependent on a specified factor. That's a complicated explanation. But the outcome of this game came down to the final minutes. So that would be that the situation, the outcome, came down to a specific factor, the last few little minutes, okay? And the outcome depended on those last few minutes. So imagine the scores are equal, and that if someone just gets 1 point in this game, it decides the match. It decides who wins. So the outcome of the game really comes down to this last, goal, or the last few minutes of this game. You can put something down to something. So this means to explain something as being caused by something else. So maybe you are a fighter, you have a fight, a professional fight, you lose the fight. You might put down the fact that you lost to not training hard enough. You could put that down to the fact that you were tired. You could put the result down to being distracted. You were thinking of something else. To put something down to something is to ascribe cause to it, to give cause to it. The reason this happened was this. I put down the outcome to this, okay? So to ascribe cause. You can bring someone to something or to somewhere. So this has got a few different meanings. We'll go through the figurative one though first. Okay, imagine you're bringing someone to tears. That's a common collocation. You'll often hear someone has been brought to tears, or that someone brought them to tears. And this is to cause someone to cry, to cause them to start producing liquid in the eyes and be really upset. So he was brought to tears when his son was born. So he was so sort of overwhelmed by the fact that he had a son. His wife just gave birth. He started to cry. He was brought to tears. So it can be a positive thing, you know, wow, he's a dad and he started crying. He was brought to tears. Or it could be something like, you know, someone's died, you're upset, you were brought to tears by that thing. Positive or negative. It can also mean to help someone regain consciousness. So if you bring someone to, we'll often use that without actually following it up. It's that you have made them regain consciousness. So again, I'm a fighter. I've been knocked out. Someone punched me. I'm asleep. If someone uses those smelling salts, you know, the salts that you put under people's noses and then all of a sudden they're awake, they brought me to, okay? They brought me to with smelling salts, whatever those salts are. And then obviously there's the literal meaning of to take something to a place or to bring something to a place. So imagine you've got a dog, he's got a massive stick in his mouth and he takes it from your house to the beach. He takes it to the beach. The dog brought the stick all the way to the beach. So he brought that thing to somewhere. To come to something. To come to something, another one with a few different meanings. So this one means to, for something to equal something. So if someone's tallying up the price, they're summing up the price of something, maybe your grocery list, they could say at the very end, okay, the price of your groceries comes to $50. So that would be like, you've got the list here, the prices are all down the side, and they all come to the total of $50. It can mean to end up a certain way as well, usually badly, so a bad situation, okay? So you might hear people say, how did things come to this? How did we come to this? And it's kind of like, how did we end up here? How did this eventuate? How did this happen? How did things come to this? And to come to, like being brought to, can mean to regain consciousness. So you're coming to consciousness, you're being brought to consciousness, but we often just don't say consciousness and we'll just say being brought to bring to, coming to come to. So he came to shortly after he'd been knocked out. So I got knocked out in a fight and then straight away came to, I regained consciousness. You can get around to something. If you get around to something, that'd be the literal idea, right? Your home is here, there's another home here, and you get around to this home. But the figurative one would be to find time to do something. So imagine that I had to take all of these postcards down off the wall behind me, but I kept putting it off. I kept delaying it. I kept saying to mom or to dad, you know, I'll do it eventually, not now. They might come in and say, we need you to get around to doing this now. Or they might ask, did you get around to doing it today? Have you done it today? Did you find the time to do it? Did you get around to it? Did you get around to cleaning the house today? To get back to someone. This would be like to return a phone call, for example. So if someone called me, I'm just looking for my phone, but I realized it's here. If someone called me on the phone, you know, I'm going to use my hard drive here. They called me on the phone, but I didn't answer or I was busy. If I get back to that person, it's that I've gone, he's called me, I call him back, so I'm getting back to him. I'm getting back to that person. So I might say if I'm at lunch, at work, someone tried calling me, I'll get back to you after lunch, mate. I'll get back to you. It can also mean, obviously, to return to a place. So you've been to a place, you come to this place, and then you get back to this place. It's to return to that place. So maybe you are taking a smoker at work, a cigarette break for 5 minutes, taking a smoker, and someone says you got to get back to work and finish everything. And you could say, well, I'll get back to it after my cigarette break, after my smoko. You can get to something, or something can get to someone. If you get to something, that's to reach something, right? So if this was out in front of me, I'm trying to get to it, and I got to it. So we could say, you know, he was racing, he was running a race, and he got to the finish line. He reached the finish line. And then someone's holding out a water bottle. They're holding his water, and he got to the water. He reached the water. But then if you get to someone, this time, to get to someone, for something to get to someone, this is to upset someone, to cause someone to be angry or annoyed or frustrated. So you've got a son or a daughter who's misbehaving. You could say, my daughter is really starting to get to me. She's starting to affect me emotionally. She's making me angry. She's upsetting me. My daughter's bad behavior is starting to get to me. All right. To get through to someone. To get through to someone. We can use this one literally, and that would be to reach someone. But imagine again this phone metaphor. I'm trying to call someone and I can't reach them. I can't get through to them. I can't get through the phone, you know, through the wires, all the way to where that person is. I can't get through to them. Maybe they just pick up, oh, I'm so glad I got through to you. How's it going? So that's the literal one, to reach someone or to communicate with someone. But then it's to make someone understand something. So that's the figurative version. It's sort of like getting through into their brain and making them understand. So your daughter or your son who's been misbehaving and that's been getting to you, if you want to get through to them that it's been annoying, it's that you're trying to make them understand that it's annoying you, okay? So I'm trying to get through to my son. I'm trying to reach him emotionally, mentally, and make him understand that misbehaving really gets to me. You can talk down to someone. If I talk down to someone, it's not literally that I'm up here, they're here, and I'm talking down to them, although you could say that. It's a figurative expression used to mean that you're being nasty to that person. You're being patronizing to that person. It could be that you are saying they're not good enough, or you're acting like they're not good enough by talking. Okay, you're talking and it's making them feel inferior. You're talking down to them because you see that they're below you, okay? So this quite often happens wherever you've got a hierarchy of some kind. The person at the top has a very high opinion of themselves, a big ego, and they talk down to everyone else. It's that they patronize them. So my boss always talks down to me at work. He's really nasty to me. You can give rise to something. To give rise to something, this is to cause something. Okay, so hatred can give rise to violence. Hatred can cause violence. So that's a common one. You'll often hear that, you know, with the fist of sort of like rising up against something. To give rise to something, it's kind of like to allow that thing to rise up, to occur, to cause that thing to happen. So yeah, hatred gives rise to violence. You can feel up to something. To feel up to something. This is kind of like up to, or to get up to, or to be up to. So think of the doing there. To be up to something, to get up to something means to do something. And if you feel up to something, it's that you feel that you can do something. Okay? You feel that you can be up to it, or you can get up to it. But we often just say feel up to something. So it means to feel capable of doing something. And I think we'll quite often use this in the negative, okay? We'll say, I don't really feel up to going out today. I'm a bit under the weather, I'm feeling sick, I've got the sneezes, a runny nose, whatever. I don't feel up to going out. I don't feel up to partying. I don't feel up to, going to the beach to go surfing. I just don't feel up to it, guys. Sorry. But I hope you guys go up to it, or get up to it, rather. Get up to it. All right, we've got a few more here. To suck up to someone. To suck is this idea, it's for something to be pulled into something else, to suck. But if you suck up to someone, this is to try to make an authority, so someone above you, approve of you and maybe of what you're doing by saying or doing things aimed to please that person. So to suck up to someone, or to kiss, and to kiss is that kind of movement, to kiss up to someone. These aren't literal, they're figurative, and they just mean, as we said, to sort of say or do something to an authority to make them like you more. So you'll often hear this with teachers at schools. If you've got a goody-goody boy or a goody-goody girl, a student who's always trying to behave well to get the teacher to like them, that student is sucking up to the teacher. That student is kissing up to the teacher. They want the authority, the teacher in this case, to like them. They're kissing up to the teacher. They're sucking up to the teacher. So, and again, maybe you as an adult do this at work. You want a pay rise, and so you suck up to your boss. You kiss up to your boss, okay? So you want that pay rise. I think this is the last 2 or 3, guys. So stand up to someone. I think we did that to confront or face something, usually negative. The student stood up to the bully and said enough was enough. You can cotton on to something. Cotton is the fabric that's quite often used for clothing, cotton, but I don't think it has anything to do with the actual fabric here. But if you cotton on to something or to someone, it's that you realize or understand what's going on, okay? So if someone was doing something where they were trying to hide what they were doing, okay? Maybe you saw someone dealing drugs and then afterwards he accepts money and he's trying to, hide the fact that he's doing that. He's dealing drugs and taking money. If you cotton on, it's that you realize, I see what's happening. I understand what's going on. So you could be a policeman who's cottoning on to what they're doing. You're a policeman who's cottoning on to the fact that they're drug dealers, okay? So it's to realize or to understand something. The last one that we have here before we do a few expressions, guys, with to, is to keep to oneself. To keep, like to maintain, to oneself is to avoid contact with other people. I'm keeping to myself. I don't want contact with other people. Imagine you're at a party and there's loads of people everywhere. If you keep to yourself, keep to yourself, it's that you don't talk to anyone. Maybe you don't say hello to anyone. You don't look at anyone. You're just keeping to yourself. You're avoiding contact with other people. So these boys keep to themselves during lunchtimes at school. All right. 5 expressions with to, guys, and honestly there was probably 1,000 different expressions that have the particle to in them, but here are 5 that I picked out that I liked. So to be up to your elbows in something. To be up to your elbows in something. If I walk out into the ocean, it doesn't take very long before the water is up to my elbows until it reaches my elbows. But if you're up to your elbows in a figurative sense, in something, to be up to your elbows in something, this is to be extremely busy with that thing, to be occupied with that thing. So I'm up to my elbows in work today. So you imagine you're sitting at a desk and the paper has stacked up and it's reached all the way up to your elbows. I'm up to my elbows in work. I'm really busy. Sorry guys, I can't come out and hang out with you. The next one. To cut someone, you imagine having a sword or a saw, to cut someone down to size. So you imagine someone's big and you chop them down to size though. This is to reduce their size. But figuratively, this would be to criticize someone, criticize a person in an attempt to deflate, to bring down, to reduce their ego, okay? So imagine that I am a movie star, I'm an actor, and I love myself. I think I'm the best ever. My acting skills are beyond everyone else. If the movie critics critique the movie that I was in, and they give it a bad critique, they've cut me down to size. They've tried to reduce my ego. So the movie critics really cut that actor down to size. To do something to death. So if you do anything, something, whatever it is, to death, and the verb can change here. The verb doesn't have to be to do. It could be to play something to death, to say something to death, anything to death. If you do something to death, this is to do it so much that it becomes boring or annoying. So imagine there is a new song. Imagine Despacito, that one that was out for ages. My restaurant where I was working played that song to death. it was just so annoying. By the end of every night, we heard that song about 5 times, Despacito, and I wanted to kill myself. So I could say the radio played that song to death. The restaurant played that song to death. Okay, to do something to death, the verb can change, but to death just shows that it's happened so often that it's boring or really annoying. To get down to business. To get down to business. This is to get straight to what's important. So imagine you have a meeting at work, or you're catching up with some mates, but you know that you've got to address a certain topic or you have to discuss something with them. If you get down to business, that's to do that thing as soon as you get there, or to start talking about that thing as soon as you can. So as soon as we started the meeting at work, we got straight down to business. We got to what was important. We got down to business. The very last one here, guys, before we finish up, is no thanks to someone. And you'll often hear this as no thanks to you, okay? We use this expression when someone has not helped or could have in fact done the opposite of helping. You know, they've done something that's held up a certain result. We'll say it to them in order to show that this thing was achieved without their help. So we did this, no thanks to you. So you shouldn't be thanked for us achieving this. The example I have here is, imagine you're playing a football game. You're playing some footy, and one player's really awful. He can't mark the ball. He kicks the ball out of bounds, but you guys still win the game. You could say, well, we won. No thanks to you, though. You didn't help. You pretty much hindered the process of us winning. We won, but no thanks to you. So that's it, guys. Make sure you go through all these phrasal verbs, try and absorb them. These ones don't really have sort of a regular pattern unless you're talking about movement, you know, going from a location to another location. That's the sort of pattern that you'll see, but then these other ones, you're just going to have to expose yourself to and get used to using them, okay? So with that, guys, I hope you enjoy this component, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Good job, guys. Good job. Thanks for staying with me, guys. I hope you enjoy this episode. Remember, if you want to sign up to the full Effortless Phrasal Verb course, you get this video, but you get it inset in a slideshow like this that has a bunch of slides, if I can actually go through it, with photos and example sentences, all that kind of jazz. The whole point there is to help you see what's going on whilst you're listening, and you can read every single word that I'm saying. There's a transcript for every single episode, guys. I highlight every single phrasal verb that I say in every single episode or every single component, and I give you a definition for all of them. I also give you an exercise and example sentences for every single phrasal verb. So if you work your way through this course, the whole point is to teach you to use phrasal verbs effortlessly like a native person. I'm probably not going to be able to do a live class next weekend, guys, or next Monday rather, because it's obviously Christmas Day, and I'm sure you guys have bigger and better things to be doing than watching me on Facebook on Christmas Day. So it'll be in 2 weeks. Okay, let's aim for 2 weeks. Not next Monday, but the Monday after that. So thanks again as always, guys. I really appreciate it. I might also quickly mention that the Aussie English classroom is going really well. The online classroom designed to teach you Australian English. There's lots of people signing up every day. You can sign up for $1 to give that a go if you want to take your Aussie English to the next level and you like studying. There's quizzes, there's lessons. You can complete all of the expression episodes on the podcasts like courses where you get all this material. It's broken down, it's easy to use, and you can test yourself. So give that a go, get in there and try it. $1 for 4 weeks, 30 days. So you get 4 episodes as well as all access to all the stuff in the Aussie classroom when you sign up. Anyway, guys, you're amazing, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, guys, and Merry Christmas.